بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, today's topic is one of those topics you have to adjust according to who is present. The idea is, if there were a lot of youngsters who are still to choose their spouse, we are going to discuss from a specific angle. But what I see is there's a lot of elders in the masjid, so we need to readjust inshallah, because we don't want the elders to have certain ideas. They say in a year there are 4 seasons, so the elders will say, as there are 4 seasons, inshallah, we're also entitled to 4 wives. So we don't want to give any ideas to the elders, so we are going to readjust inshallah our discussion. Alhamdulillah, I am married and I have 6 children, alhamdulillah. And when I got married, my wife, she knew that I was an athletic guy. I was playing football, basketball, running. And if she married me because of my 6-pack then, unfortunately right now I only have 1 pack. This is something that changes. And this is the reality of the life that we live in. We look at artificial things, and when those artificial things change, then we have a problem in our marriage. Like anything, when we look at it from an Islamic perspective, the direction is always from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has created the human being, and He knows how that human being operates, and He knows that how this human being is going to change after 10, 15, 16 years. So what is it that we look for when we are looking for a spouse? Like I said, we go back to the Quran, we go back to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said. We go back to the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this particular verse, He says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, from the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ, that He has created for you from your own selves, your spouses. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then identifies 3 things why the spouses were then created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the number 1 thing, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. Alhamdulillah, I started by saying that I am married. Alhamdulillah, the name of my wife is Sakina. And in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. What does Sakina mean? And this is the primary objective. This is the primary thing that we have to look at when we are choosing our spouses. Whether we are males looking for females, or we are females looking for males. What is that criteria that we have to look at? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. The ulama say that this word, لِتَسْكُنُوا, as-sakina, it is actually related to what we call peace. So that you find peace. As-sakina. Before expounding on this and expanding this, it is important for us, especially the youngsters, to say that at the very least, you should make sure that you do not end up with a mismatch. But when we are talking about you finding a match, it does not mean you are supposed to marry someone who is exactly like you. So you must find a match, but using certain criteria. That person must be a match to you, but must not be the same like you. What does this mean? Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed most of us with the ability to talk for hours. Imagine if a person like me, who can talk for hours, was going to marry a woman, a wife who talks for hours. I think we deserve to say astaghfirullah. Because how much talking would be in that house? So the matching which the ulama talk about, it has certain things that we need to look for. And in the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a hadith that is authentically narrated, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a woman is married for four main things: for the wealth, for this family status, and she is also married for her beauty, and lastly, she is married for her deen. Ulama have explained, and most of us in our circles, we have discussed this hadith, but the unfortunate reality is we have narrowed down the definition of deen to be just a religion. According to the definition of deen from an Islamic perspective, deen is a way of life. Because the sisters, when they hear this hadith, they will think the person who is always entering and exiting the masjid, the person who has got the biggest beard, the person who is wearing a kurta, that is the ideal Muslim. But in reality, those of our youngsters who listen to the death music of hip-hop, they know that there's a person called Rick Ross. He has got the biggest beard, more beard than me. But he is not a Muslim. There are people who are wearing the kurtas, but that kurta is not a symbol of faith, but that kurta is a symbol because that is a culture on his part. So when we talk about deen, we are not just talking about a person you see going and exiting the masjid. While this is important, deen is a complete way of life. Deen includes your character. Because when you get married to that husband, to that wife, even if they are making salah 5 times daily, they might be the reason for you to be sad. They might be the reason for you not to practice your religion in the correct manner. There were Sahaba who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. They were pleased with Allah and Allah was pleased with them. Yet their wives would go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, "Oh Prophet, I wish I'm not married to this particular fellow." A Sahabi of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who was making salah. But there are certain things that are important. This is why we say that when you are looking for a spouse, look for that person who matches you. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Fadfaru," then choose the one who has got deen. Priority is the deen. Then we look at the other 3 qualities. We talked about wealth. Yes, wealth is important. When we are marrying off our daughters, when people come to us and ask for our daughters, we need also to consider, is my daughter going to be in a good environment? While this is not a priority, we must also look at it. The issue of the family where the person is coming from, it is important because especially here in these places of Africa, you do not marry an individual, but you marry the family. So we as the awliya, we as the wali, we as the guardians, we are obliged to also look at this. The 3rd thing is about beauty. In one narration of Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, "Oh people, stop marrying your daughters to these ugly men. Stop marrying your daughters to these ugly men." When we talk about ugly, we are not only looking at the physical features, we are also looking at the attitude, the character of that person. The Prophet ﷺ is approached by this person, and the person says to the Prophet, "Oh Prophet, I got married." Then he says, "Did you look at her? One youngster goes to the Prophet ﷺ, he says, I want to get married. He says to the youngster, did you look at her before? The youngster says, no. The Prophet ﷺ says, go and look at her, because there might be something that entices you to marry her. When the people hear this hadith, na'udhu billah, they are only thinking about the physical beauty. What has to attract us is not only the physical beauty, it is also the beauty of the character. Because when she grows old, that beauty fades away. But when there is beauty of character, that increases with age. In closing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. That you find sakina, you find peace. The right way of finding the right spouse is to make sure you find someone who brings peace. When you find peace through identifying the religion of that person, then mawadda and rahma, that compassion and also mercy is there. Because in most of the lives of us as men, there is lot that is going on in the dunya. And when we are done with our work and go home, we need to find in the house sakina, mawadda and rahma. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the understanding of this beautiful religion and make it easier for us, inshallah, to find the right spouses. For those who are already married, find their way, alhamdulillah, within the confines of this beautiful religion of Islam to make it work. For those who are thinking about taking the second and the third and the fourth, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.